Your show will go live in 5 seconds. 4, 3, 2, 1.
You're about to hear a revolution in talk radio, Liberty Talk Radio, where the critical thinking will defrag your mind of propaganda-ridden viruses induced by mass media news programming. No BS here, just the facts.
And now we present to you America's quintessential iconoclastic anomaly. Wow. In talk radio, your host, Joe Cristiano.
Welcome, everyone, to Liberty Talk Radio, America's libertarian voice, broadcasting from our studio in Tulsa, Oklahoma, to around the world. I'm your host, Joe Cristiano, and this is your antidote to popular talk radio. Today, we're pleased to have as our guest Jordan Michael Askew. He's a multi-talented young man, and you know, I don't like young people because I'm old, but we'll settle that later with him, okay? He's a tactical wordsmith. Now, what that is, I don't know, but we'll find out, right? And he's an aggressive debt removal expert. I think one of my creditors probably sent him over here to see me. That's why. That's why he's here. He's a guild master, a consultant, trustee, spiritual coach, and also an author. So he's truly multi-talented, unlike me. His skills and crafts are so rare that most consider them extinct, and I'd like to know more about that. Let's hear what he has to say about his skills. But what I'm particularly interested in is the debt portion of it, because you know, if you listen to this program, you know I abhor debt. I run from debt. I have no debt. I don't want any debt. And yet the American psyche seems to be built around how big your debt can be, because life is wonderful if you're drowning in debt. And I'd like to see how he handles that with his clients. I'd like you to call in during our live broadcast, 646-652-4620. That's 646-652-4620. Make certain that you press the one button so we know where you want to break in, because people are listening to this broadcast on their phones, and we don't want to get you mixed up with anyone else. All right? Jordan, thank you so much for being on our program, and welcome to Liberty Talk Radio.
Greetings, Joe. It's a pleasure to be on today, and you've got quite a nice setup here. I really appreciate you having me.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah, you definitely touched on an important point where you said that people have a psychologically induced affection for debt. That's how I would describe it. There's this need or this want or almost this running after this sweet, sticky nothing that never exists for debt. What I mean by that is people will willingly obligate themselves into loans that they know they cannot pay back. This has been my experience. They'll willingly take on new credit cards without any type of plan for once they're used up, and they'll live, on the credit cards month to month. Now, part of this is just induced by the sociological structure that's present in most countries, which is a survivalism aspect that nobody seems to be addressing. There are some countries that are starting to address it with the universal basic income. And what that does is alleviate some of these people's debts, if you will. But aside from that, in the Western countries, like you said, people just run towards more debt. And when I'm speaking with a client or trying to assist a client in an understanding of what the debt really means to them in their life, I do actually have to go through a little psychology and an explanation of what's really happened to them. So it's very difficult to overcome in some cases, very easy to overcome in the other. But the end result usually is a settlement and resolution for the client, myself, and for the creditor as well. They usually learn something.
You okay?
So, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I've got an ant biting me right now, so apparently I was right thing.
Don't die on us, please. Oh. Not in the middle of a program. We don't allow that. But I'm like Mr. Wonderful on Shark Tank. I love money. He says, I love money. I love money. And I have money. But what that affords me, it affords me freedom. But it gives me the opportunity to help other people that at least I personally feel are worthy of being helped and should be helped. But it's my choice, and my wife and I give thousands of dollars every year to organizations and to people and helping them out. Unlike what you hear on television, well, if a person has money, they keep it all for themselves. They're all selfish. They give nothing to anyone. No, in fact, the exact opposite is true. If you are in debt and have no money, you can't help anyone else out because you can't even help yourself out. How off base am I on that?
No, you're completely on point. I agree with you 100%, and it's something I like to refer to as the universal oxygen mask syndrome, where people are forgetting to put their own mask on first in all areas and domains of their life. So not only can they not succeed in what you're describing, which is a service to others, if they're not in service to themselves and wiping out their debts in their life situation, but also they're not going to be able to plan long range or do anything that would help them in a sustainable way to build wealth. So once they come off the other side of the debt portion, on the other side of the ledger, they need to have active generation, and not schemes, but mechanisms, if you will, such as real estate investing, all these different types of things that are very basic or staples in the realm of investing and building wealth. So I think that if people have something to shoot for and they can feel that it's not a hopeless situation, they can see themselves getting out of that debt range and moving to the other side. But I do see that people are just either in denial or they're not willing to take care of themselves first. There's this false oneness and love empowering, disempowering teachings that are being taught. And even like in the libertarian, I don't subscribe to any party in particularly, but in the libertarian aspects, or the left side, if you will, you can see a lot of this. Some would describe it as socialism or communism. You would see a lot of this taking care of the community, but controlled by one tiny, power structure at the top. Now, if we were to come from the bottom and every single person were to do what you have been doing, even if they don't have money, they have something to contribute. They can contribute to an organization that's in their local community. I think it's a lot of distraction. It's an idea of distraction. So I'm in so much debt. What do I do to distract myself from all this stuff that's going, on my back? I'm trying to pay my bills month to month, but even my low wage job that I'm, slaving away at for 40, 50 hours a week is not even paying my bills. Right. And because I want to be distracted, now I'm taking on more expenses such as alcohol and drinking, going out to clubs, or I need my basic cable, or I need my Wi-Fi so I can be on Twitter or Facebook all day and not have to deal with my life. This is the perception that I'm seeing the world.
Uh-oh. Did we lose Jordan? Jordan, we lost you. Oh, my goodness gracious. Oh, my goodness. Are you sure it's not on our end? Oh, here it comes. He's coming in again? We got to fix. We have to fix this. We can't do this. We got to fix this. Is it on our end at all? Anything that we're doing?
They're reporting it, not me. They are reporting it, Skype.
Oh, Skype is reporting it.
Skype is reporting
What do we have to do now? Do we have to reconnect?
Can we? They have to reconnect. I can try it. The last time I did.
Carry a gun with you. Carry a gun with you and just shoot the screen. My favorite one. Here, Hervey, look. Hervey, you're too nice.
Too sheltered.
It's going to cost me a fortune to edit yesterday's program. It's going to cost me hundreds of dollars just to edit the program. I got to do this again today. I can't afford this.
Hello.
Okay, Hervey? Yeah.
We're back. I'm sorry about that. I don't know what that was. It's a massive failure.
Yeah, it was a massive failure. We had this yesterday.
Can you see me now?
Yeah, I can see you now. You're a little choppy. And we had this yesterday, and it's not on your end or our end. It actually is on Skype and the internet. Somehow they are, and it's beyond, the station. It's in the line somewhere, and if it doesn't get fixed, we have to suspend broadcasting until we know it's fixed, because we have to edit these programs, and it costs a fortune to have the whole thing edited. So, okay, one of the reasons. Let me give you a little philosophy, my philosophy, and you can comment on it. Good, bad, or indifferent, or lunatic schedule, whatever it is. But when people say, Joe, you ride around in an old car. Why do you do that? I said, and I said, I guess you assume that I can't afford to buy a car. I said, no. I said, actually, I can buy a Lamborghini for cash, no problem. In fact, no, I'll go a step further. I can buy the Lamborghini dealership, but I wouldn't do it, you know? And I said, the reason why I do that is that I don't need a car for any reason other than get me point A to point B. Now, my car has only 290,000 miles on it, so it's got a long way to go. But I tell them, this is my philosophy on life. I said, I save money because my wife's an audiologist. She's wonderful in what she does. She is an angel of a person. I love her to death. You have no idea how crazy I am about my own wife. It's like my girlfriend, you know, for decades, you know, except for Sally. You know, of course, Sally and I, she's my girlfriend too. But you know, she doesn't know any. She's a great audiologist, but she doesn't know anything about finance. So I always feel like I'm doing that part of the equation that protects her. And here's my philosophy, what I tell people. I say, you know, if you defer instant gratification long enough, and during that time, you are judicious with your money on a regular basis, you save, you invest properly, not wildly, over a long period of time, I said,
Yes.
the law of nature in itself will say that you will be successful and you'll be wealthy. Or at least you'll have enough money that you won't be broke like most other people. What do you think of that? Oh, are we lost again?
Yep.
Oh, come on.
That's right.
Oh, are you back?
No, I definitely agree with you, and I'm here. Can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you, but
We're-
I have a different picture of you now.
He walked down the hallway.
Yeah.
did you-
I had to find some service because I'm on my phone now. I do apologize for the interruptions
Oh,
here. I
okay.
think some of it might be on my end. I totally agree, and I did hear what you said. And for a visual example, I would liken it to sort of like 5 Skittles on a table in front of a hungry consumer, right?
Yeah.
And you get another Skittle for free, right? Just for being you, right? You get another Skittle every minute. But if you can't wait that minute, eventually you're going to run out of Skittles. Does that make sense? So like if you just wait, you're going to get another Skittle and then another and then another. And if you wait long enough with your calculated investments like you're describing, then you have enough that you can eat 2 or 3 at once and not, break your
Right.
bank. So it's basic accounting, it's basic principles and common sense that people are devoid of, and it's not their fault. It is their fault once they're aware of it and they choose to ignore it, right? But the majority of this is conditioned, or there's a lack of education. Your views on the education system are right in line with mine. In fact, I advocate for homeschooling more than anything because
Right.
that's the natural, organic, basic system that founded this country. And if you go back and you look at a middle school, I forget what they call it, a primary school, you look at an actual test from the 1800s compared to a college exam today, it blows them out of the water by miles. And we can't even answer some
Right.
basic things that a 7-year-old in the 1800s had a full grasp or concept of. So it's just ridiculous. And a basic re-education or a breaking through of conditioning is going to be necessary to make a change on a mass scale. And I think a community-based orientated mechanism for that is going to be necessary because it's definitely not working from the top, whether that be Department of Education, which has been co-opted and controlled for hundreds of years, or whether it be certain private institutions and private colleges. They all have an agenda. They're all making money. They're all based on the money, what programs are funded, what courses are funded, so on and so forth. And it's just a mess. And so people do not know how to save properly. Finance is not taught. And therefore, I'm in business. I have a job. So
Well, the basic premise of our school system is that the school system is responsible for educating our children. Then by proxy, the government is responsible for raising my children. No, the parents are responsible for raising the children. The school is an addendum to that, assisting the parenting process. But we have it backwards. We have the school system as the primary principle in the learning process, and the parents' responsibility is just to get the kids to school. Other than that, they have no responsibility for educating their children. But this is what we've evolved to be, and we are becoming the dumbest nation. I can't believe how dumb we are.
Yes.
Every once in a while, I get dragged over to the BOK, the big entertainment center here in Tulsa, because somebody from out of town comes in and whatever. The place is jammed, tens of thousands of people. I hate going there, but I have to go sometimes to keep peace and friends and family, whatever. And I see all these people there. They're dressed like slobs. They look like they're broke, and they paid $150 for a seat to watch someone sing for an hour. To me,
Yes.
It's tantamount to absolute insanity, but yet they won't spend 5 minutes reading something of interest or learning something. And it seems like we have everything is all screwed up in this country. We should wipe it clean and start over again.
Yes. Yeah, I couldn't agree with you more. I mean, you're hitting on most of the points that I talk about a lot. Like you mentioned, I'm a tactical wordsmith and aggressive debt negotiator. And technically what that means for me is that I find the most efficient, the quickest, and the most probable result. And I'm analyzing in real time at all situations that I'm encountering. I'm looking at this guy. I'm saying, okay, what is he wearing? What's his watch look like? What does his shoes look like? What is he trying to do? Is he trying to put out? Does he have a fragile ego? What is he saying now? Is he saying it with a body posture that's strong, or does he consider his position so weak that he has to make threats or intimidations? So I deal with stuff like this not only with credit card companies and negotiating with them, but especially with the court system. And while I'm not an attorney and I can't represent anybody, I am a consultant, and I've been through this with personal experience. I spent the better part of the last part of my senior year in high school sitting in a traffic court and just watching what they're saying and what they're doing over and over and over. I've done all of this stuff. So it's really helped me to gain a tactical perspective, which is why I've named it tactical wordsmithing, and not in a sense of rebellion, like this Bundy situation and all these different types of things, or the Patriot guys, nothing like that. I actually strive to find a resolution and a beneficial outcome for all parties involved. The creditors learn something from the paperwork that we're putting in. They're learning, oh, well, we can't get away with that because if one guy calls us out, it's not like we can just pay him to go away. That's public record now, so that's going to be a problem for us that we're doing these things illegally, and this guy's called it out in this court paperwork, which is publicly accessible by anybody. And so during the course of our lawsuits, which typically my clients will have to go sue, but we're essentially doing this, Joe. I'll tell you this: we're converting the debt so that there's a full settlement and release of the debt, and then the credit report. If there's any negative reporting or any reporting at all, we completely wipe it out. It's completely gone. Okay, and then the third aspect is we'll actually get money for the client if they've been damaged in some way. So if they violate federal and state consumer laws by failing to validate and then harassing the consumer afterwards, which typically 9 times out of 10, that's our result, the client is affected in such a way that it puts stress on their life, it puts stress on worrying about their credit report, it puts stress on how am I going to get more money to pay my debts, so on and so forth. And so that's an actual damage that can be proved through a couple of different counseling sessions. They go to, once a week, they go to a group or something. And at that point, they've got provable damages. And when it comes time for discovery, generally the lawyers will take a look and step back and go, okay, we messed up here. Our client messed up really, really bad. And there's nothing else we can do besides, just settle with you guys. So the client ends up getting some cash. They get their debt wiped out and their credit cleared, and I split it with them 50-50. They pay me a retainer for a couple of months for the time being that it takes to get this taken care of in the negotiations, and they do everything themselves. They learn a new skill. Everything that I help them with is passed through their hands, and they look at it, they critically think about it, they review it, they make changes and make it their own before it's presented to the other side. And so I'm giving or offering my clients a chance to learn as they get paid and as I get paid. So that's what the tactical wordsmithing is and the aggressive debt resolution. In addition to that, I've handled trust structures. I've dealt with negotiations with the IRS. I've negotiated with international banking companies, all sorts of different things that I've had to do. I've got $30,000 of my own medical debts wiped out in one phone call with no letters, okay, because of the tactical wordsmithing. It's something that you just never take anything for face value. You'll see a lot of people that say, oh, well, they told me this or they told me that, so I gave up. I'm not willing to believe anyone, even if I'm standing here, Joe, and you say, hey, Jordan, that's a nice white shirt. I'm going to say, hey, Joe, are you sure that you've checked your eyes lately? Maybe it's tan or beige to me. What's your definition of white? You understand? Yeah. So and even when the judge is talking to me and they give you orders to get personal jurisdiction over you, sir, go stand over there. I'll say, I'll stand right there, and I point to where he asked me to stand, and I take it on my own terms, and I go walk over there, and I stand, and there's nothing he can do. Sir, sit down. I'll sit right there. Sir, be quiet. I'm going to be quiet until you're ready to settle this matter and take liability, and my time and my body are no longer collateral. Do you understand? Right? Over and over and over, I'm winning and winning and winning. And you see these freemen guys, these patriot dudes, they're like, rah, 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 I am the living man and the beneficiary and the blah, 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 you know? And you expect the judge to gel with that? No, he's sworn an oath to uphold the bankruptcy. This entire country has been administering itself in bankruptcy and hiring out governmental services corporations like the United States, which is an actual entity that was created by an act of Congress when we split in the Civil War. So we have not had a de jure Congress or any de jure or Republic Act since the Civil War. And then since the 30s, the principles of law and equity have been combined, which has never happened in thousands of years, right? Law and equity have always been separate. And so now what you have is this quasi-statutory system that's on top of people. And if you don't know that it's all a trust, it's all bankruptcy, it's all a trust, it's all insurance, it's all contracting, and you're trying to follow these, these patriot guru guys, you're going to be in jail every single time. Yeah. And so I'm assisting my clients not only with debt resolution, but I help them with being harassed by small town cities and small town cops and things that you can't get a lawyer to help you with, and you can't get relief with from anybody else. So that's what I do. Thank you for listening to that. It's a long-winded explanation.
That's fascinating.
But,
well, do you find that your clients are any different than they were years ago, or their circumstances are different? Why they come to you? What has changed over the time?
Well, generally, what I find is there's a basic education. You can't help that. If you're going to be around me for any period of time, more than 5 minutes, you're going to learn something about, the integral nature of the universe, or how everything on this planet is controlled by an interdimensional control structure, or, how every single time you enter into a debt, they're loaning your own credit back to you at interest because you're the only party that's given anything of value, because human bodies are the only thing that produce value on this planet, and everything else is just a representation. All of these things within the first month are basic knowledge that's imparted to the client. And what they choose to do, or what foundation they choose to build from there, is their choice, but I'm a guide along the way. So generally what I'll see in my clients is a rapid level of conversational improvement. They'll actually start testing me. They'll be like, are you sure that's what I said? I'll be like, well, I remember that you were standing here, you were wearing a blue shirt. When you said it to me, a little bit of spit came out of your mouth. You're looking off to the side at the left. That's a curse for me. I can remember all of these things, all my clients' social security numbers, everything, all the way back. Thank God I'm a trustworthy guy. But some of that comes out, and they actually start embodying this. And you'll see in any situation where they walk up and they need to change their order at a restaurant, or they need to get something recorded that a clerk would normally give them hassle about, but they have the right to do, you'll see that they actually choose to engage, and not in a confrontational manner, but in a negotiation stance. They're ready. I'm here. This is my offer. What do you have to say? Oh, I don't like that. I'm not aware of that. What I am aware of is this, blah, 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 blah. So I want you to blah, 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 blah. Does it make sense? So they're always in the position of power. They always take that. And that's the major change that I see in them. And the little stuff in their life just comes as a result of them being on that vibrational level to accept new realities that they wouldn't have been able to accept if they didn't have the basic knowledge. So again, it comes down to education. Like you're saying, it's so crucial. It comes down to education. And look how far we've come away from that. It's all a part of the control structure, and it encompasses all of these domains. And people are always like they, and Illuminati. They're all puppets. They've been interbreeding for thousands of years in order to perpetuate their susceptibility to be possessed by interdimensional entities, which the Gnostics called archons, which are actual little tiny orbs. They do have physical manifestations. But that gets into energy work as well, Joe, because I'm into energy and Reiki and all these things. But I see a lot of people that are noticing these orbs during their work. Oh, look, the orb is healing my client. They're assisting me with my healing. And what they don't understand is that's an archon. That's responsible for the plight of humanity for over millennia, for hundreds of thousands of years, if not more. In my opinion, if you will, right? And so what it's doing is it's actively reversing what you're doing energetically on that person's body. They're locking the frequencies back up. They're the gatekeepers. They keep you from experiencing your whole being. You're more than just a little meat suit, right? And so while people are praising these orbs, and going, oh, wow, look, they're helping. They're actually reversing everything you've ever done. And they let the client feel a little tiny sub-benefit so that they keep coming back so that they can feed off the energy. There's a very good article on this. It's called Loosh 101, Loosh, Loosh 101. You guys can Google that. Your mind will be blown. Okay?
We'll take a look at that.
This is, yeah. So there you go.
Where do you see this society going? My problem is that I can't help but be so darn negative about overall where we're going, and we're heading for a brick wall. I'm a pragmatist. I don't believe in this, everything happens for the better and all. I hate all those expressions. I mean, but I see where we're going. I see our unsustainable debt. I hate ads that say, no money, no problem, no payments till next year, et cetera, ad nauseum. This cannot end well. Or am I just a naysayer or something, a negative person?
It depends. I look at it this way. The universe is everything, nothing, and something, which means there's all possibilities, there's no possibilities, and there's some possibilities. So even if you're a naysayer, there's a realm where you get to be a naysayer on everything, and it still works for you. And it's not harming you, it's useful. So there's no right or wrong for me. There's useful and not useful, and there's right useful and bad useful, because it's not ready for you, or there's, wrong not useful or right not useful, because maybe you need to make a change in your life. So what I'm saying is that I believe your individual perception has a lot to do with the reality that you're experiencing.
Right.
If you were to focus for the next 30 days on shifting your vibrational reality to be in a world where you don't have to do any work at all and it's just better than it is now, then you're automatically going to see these changes, and it's not going to be something that you're looking for. It'll just show up to you and you'll go, oh, wow, the world is getting better, because you're literally shifting dimensions. And that's the nature of choice. Every billionth of a second, you're constantly shifting into realms of possibility that weren't there before. Everything exists in infinite possibility, and it's up to you. That's the part they don't tell you, all these new age gurus. It's up to you to hold on to the vibration that you want in the face of everything that's telling you it's not that way. So in the face of war, death, disease, famine, struggle, satanic child sacrifice, and ritual killings by the royals and all these different people that are supposedly in power, pedophilia rings that are being exposed, so on and so forth, all this nasty shit. Be in the world, but not of it. And I forget who says that, but you're a traveler, constantly traveling and shifting through. And maybe you need perspective about yourself. Why do I feel so down and depressed? Why is my skills not high enough that all this is affecting me? Well, I need to go through it so that I can build this skill and then jump into a dimension that I want. So that's how I look. It is constant learning and education experience. Learning and education is so crucial to everything that I'm doing, and it answers your question as well.
Yeah.
So,
well, you see, I tell all my friends I have a positive attitude. I said, I want to die filthy rich, because where I'm going it's going to be very hot. I want to pay for air conditioning. With that last comment, could you hold on for around 60 seconds? Could you hold on your phone for 60 seconds so we can take a quick break for station identification and give out sponsors an opportunity to say a few words?
I would be so happy to.
Okay,
I'll be
thank you.
On hold for you.
Thank you, Jordan. Hold on. Folks, don't go away. We'll be back in 60 seconds. Thank you.
You're listening to Liberty Talk Radio. Political talk derived from a historical perspective. Not always palatable, but good food for thought. Pure libertarian talk with host Joe Cristiano. LibertyTalkRadio.com.
Express Test is your go-to company for on-site occupational health testing services. That's right, we said on-site. That means we will meet you at your facility for a free health and occupational safety consultation. Express Test specializes in hearing conservation, respiratory protection, and employee safety. We can help you establish viable programs tailored to your business and employee needs. For your free consultation, call 918-743-2929 or visit us at expresstest.com. That's 918-743-2929 or expresstest.com.
Ranch Acres Audiology is about caring, about getting the most out of life, about personal attention.
Sometimes helping someone with their hearing is really helping them with more than just hearing. That's the goal of my practice. That's what my goal has been for 20 years.
You're invited to attend our next free Lunch and Learn seminar. Call us today, 918-749-7711.
This isn't your typical talk radio show. This is Liberty. Liberty Talk Radio.
Welcome back, everyone, to Liberty Talk Radio. With us, we have Jordan Michael Askew. He's a multi-talented young man, who does, he's an author. He's an aggressive debt removal expert. He's a wordsmith, a guild master, a consultant, trustee, spiritual life coach, and an author. So this guy has it all together. He's about 20 light years ahead of me. When his age, he was like 60 light years ahead of me, and I find them absolutely fascinating. Are you still with us, Jordan?
Yeah, I'm still here,
Okay,
Joe.
You're still there. Okay, great. Where do you say I'm a closet economist, if you will. That's what I study. I've taken economics courses, but I'm not an economist per se. But that's my thing. And maybe because I deal with money a lot and I have my own businesses and I have to know something about the economy and know what to expect. But where do you see all this? Where do you see us going? From listening to your clients, what they are saying, and from your experience, where do you see this nation going forward from a pragmatic point of view?
Well, yes, I'm a very practical guy as well, and that's a very, very comprehensive question, so I'll try to wrap it up as easily as I can. Based on what my clients say, I would see that a lot of people are looking for land. They're looking to have a place that's solidified under their feet. They're not paying a mortgage. They're not paying a rent. They're looking to grow their own food. They're looking to eat organic. They're tired of the chemtrails. They're tired of everything that's being grown being toxified and poisoned. They're tired of the lead in the water, in the soil, the fluoride in the water, the pharmaceuticals in the water, the sanctioned congressional sanctioned testing of pollutants and everything in the air. It's sick. They're done with it. So a lot of people are adopting a community-based or land-based self-sufficiency model, which is it's very funny because it's almost identical to what we had in the 20s before the engineered Great Depression, right? Where people were community or family or homestead based. If you buy on Amazon a book on homesteading, you'll find over 150 skills that people basically had to have in order to survive. And so it was essential for them to be taught. And again, that comes back to the education. I see that this country could go one of two ways, and where you are and what way you're participating in is up to you as an individual and then as the collective in the community. You can go down the shitter where the dollar collapses, which is being engineered, and the economy collapses and martial law and yada 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 and all this stuff, the doomsday preppers and all this stuff. You can be in that reality if that serves you, or you can do what you can right now to change your own life, your own realm, your own domain, your own friends, your own network. Get your land, get your food network going. Maybe grow hydroponics indoors so you have something that's free of heavy metals, barium, strontium, aluminum. Even in the most organic of crops outside, they're still being contaminated. Nobody talks about that, right? Then on top of that, you've got the GMO contamination, willy-nilly, just seeds being contaminated and spread everywhere. So there's a lot of concern, and I see this country going financially and economically either in a good way or a bad way, and it depends on how fast we can get the word out to communities so that even if it does collapse, Joe, even if the Fed goes down tomorrow, we have a lot of educated people who can go, well, we've got the infrastructure, we've got the manpower, we've got the soil, we've got the seeds, we've got the food to feed everybody in this entire city based upon a few concentrated group efforts. And you know what? Even if the Fed is dead, this dollar that's in our pocket can still be a dollar, right? Who's to tell us that it's not worth a dollar? So if everybody still accepts the dollar as a dollar worth, you can still trade and there's no hyperinflation. But you have to have the economy resources to meet the demand. So you have to have some sort of system that's not tied into using money to purchase the original goods. Does that make sense?
Yeah. Well,
because, then you would, yeah, so.
What kind of political system do you see in the future?
Well, independent republic. Again, it comes back to what we started as was a tight network of independent republics, self-governing republics. And the republic word gets thrown around a lot, but if you recite the national anthem and these other types of, patriotic things, it always comes back to the word republic and for the republic for which it stands and over and over and over, right? So the self-governing republic is where I see us going if we're able to organize in a community fashion. And doing the community organizing is not just for a political benefit. It's not just for a socioeconomic benefit. It's for a spiritual benefit as well and a technological benefit because if enough people are getting together that are smart, that have the time and the resources to do these plasma experiments, hydrogen technology, Joe, you can take hydrogen made from solar panels and then run carbon dioxide through it, and now you've got pure methanol that you can use in your car without switching any parts out. Now you can use methanol and you're not dependent on the oil system. So if you've got communities doing this and having their basic needs taken care of, everything else solves itself. The solutions come from that. The technology starts getting invented. It's sort of like what happened in Cuba when U.S. pulled out of Cuba and everybody started making their own devices, their own, cable satellites. They would make them out of metal and all these things that they had to do, and they would take washers apart, and there's all these smart engineers that popped up in the community out of necessity. Well, if that's intentional, it's going to happen that much quicker. Yeah. And then all the problems that come with this current socioeconomic model are solved and made better, and then new ideas have room to grow, if that makes sense.
Yeah. Well, it's interesting because so many people I know are talking more along that vein. Many of them are looking for land somewhere outside the city where they can possibly grow their own crops. They don't want to become farmers. They're not farmers, but at least they can learn to be, and they're willing to learn, even at an older age, to become more independent and away from the city. I think many people are afraid, if there is in fact a currency crisis, with everyone about up to here in debt and unable to pay their bills now when things seem to be quite normal, whatever that's supposed to mean. But if in the event of a currency crisis, there will be riots in the street. I remember the riots in New York City when I had when I used to go from the subway to my factory that I worked in when I was a young guy. And I had National Guard people with a shield over my head, with a automatic rifle, and I would run with them, to go to my building. So I remember riots, and they were real to me. And I can see that again. But this time it's not going to be a neighborhood in New York, or not going to be one in Los Angeles. It's going to be nationwide. And people are afraid of that. People see that happening. They instinctively, they know things are not right. And I think that's why I think Donald Trump is doing so well in the polls. It's not that he makes any sense, but he's out of the system. I mean, people feel like he's really one of them, and he's not one of themselves, and not one of the government mob. Right.
Yeah, I agree with what you're saying. Again, and I hate to beat a dead horse, but it does come back to the education. And in riots, they're usually popped off or started by a certain group or a certain situation, but they're exacerbated by people who are the loudest. Protagonists or antagonists or agents that come in, provocateurs that come in, and like the Black Lives Matter group and all these different things that you're seeing now. They're all they're not organic, to my understanding. They're being artificially propped up or induced. Right. And so if you can step in that role first, if there's some sort of clear communication channel that you can get into in a situation like that, or if you see the country really about to tip into that, somebody needs to get on the air or on the the TV, or somehow a group needs to come together, take over the TV station or negotiate with them or whatever, and then get on live TV and say, hey guys, it's going to be okay. We've got plenty of food. We've got, this community here can support this many people on the condition that they learn these skills and then go support the other people in the other areas. And if you work together as opposed to fighting each other, nobody's going to die. There might be a few deaths here and there from, lack of basic services, but that is what it is. And if you look at China, if you look at Japan during the earthquakes and during these different types of things, look at the videos and how everybody is filing out of the building in an orderly fashion. People are picking themselves up and picking other people up and helping them on the way out, right, at the expense of their family, right? They stop their family right there and say, hang on a second, and they go pick this person up. Right. And so if you see Black Friday videos in the U.S., there's people trampling each other to death to get the new TV or stereo. So again, I'm not naive enough to think that I'm going to be able to change everybody's opinion, but I am of the belief that if I try hard enough, my vibration will shift me into reality where it is possible. I truly believe, Joe, that one individual can affect the consciousness and the negativity of hundreds of thousands of people, especially if they make an agreement with those people. And that could be just a declaration on the radio, like I've made myself on my radio show. everybody out there that's that knows that something's wrong and they're not doing anything about it, every time you sit there and you don't do anything about it and you give your energy towards, watching Dancing the Stars or paying $150 to go see somebody sing, that energy is coming to me and my purposes, and it's going to come through my body and out and back into the world and shift our reality for the better. These are the types of, they call them thought experiments. Albert Einstein and Tesla used to do these types of things. It's a real energy that you're accessing.
Right.
And I believe if we can teach people to do this in a community scale in all over the United States, we can affect millions of people, and it won't get to the point you're talking about.
What drives me
that's the only,
absolutely mad is every time, now I don't watch the mainstream news or anything like that. I try to watch, when I do watch, well, if I watch television, I'm going to watch either Shark Tank or Street Outlaws, the drag racing, because I used to drag race when I was young, and that's about it. But the few times that I hear this Black Lives Matter, drives me up the wall. And I think, how stupid could you be? It's not black lives that matter. It's black character that matters. And that's what's missing. And no one says that. No one. I scream at the television set. It doesn't go through the wires, and no one's listening to me. How off base am I?
No, you're completely on point, as usual. And I'll tell you this. I've actually mentioned this as well. Music is a big thing for me. Music can be used to enlighten and empower, or it can be used to just completely make an entire class or a nation of people ignorant. And it's cool to not care about people. It's cool to be hard. It's cool to be a gangster. It's cool to be this. And all these guys, and unfortunately, they've targeted the black culture. The black culture has been targeted for hundreds of years, okay? Don't get me into the slavery aspect where their own tribes were the ones selling them to the people on the slave ships, by the way. Nobody ever talks about that. They were sold out by their own freaking people in most cases. Right. Yes, the bad stuff happened. Yes, all the abuses happened. I don't deny that. But what I am saying is that it's pretty funny that they're accepting this, all this language destruction. Instead of saying bitch, they say bit, or yeah, they say you, and all this stuff. They're like literally cutting off all of the ends of their words, and they're stupefying these people, and they don't understand. They have no idea. Everything is being controlled at the top by a group of old, fat, white guys sitting in a room on how can we destabilize and destroy this culture as much as possible, right? So everything that these people think is cool was made up by an old, fat, white guy with an intent to destroy their entire population and culture. Not only with that and music and socioeconomic factors, but with drugs as well. The spreading of crack in the inner cities by Reagan and stuff like that. So I do believe I'm totally on point. I can't.
I'm no stranger to multiculturalism. I mean, I'm from Harlem, New York. Come on, I was raised in Harlem. I lived in. There was a movie called Fort Apache, the Bronx, and that was a police station called Fort Apache. I think it was the 41st precinct, from what I remember. And the reason why they called it Fort Apache is because the people in the neighborhood would actually attack the police station, and it was fortified. And if you screwed up, if you disobeyed the rules or whatever it is, even the unwritten rules, you got sent to Fort Apache, the Bronx. I hung around the neighborhood. I had the first fully integrated singing group. My lead was a black guy, Freddie. The Puerto Rican was my second tenor was a Puerto Rican. So I mean, I'm no stranger to that. And people think that I'm a white guy and I look everything from the outside. No, I'm an inside guy looking out. I'm the opposite. Yes. And everyone has it wrong. They have it inside out. And I don't understand that. And why black? In fact, just last week I was someplace, I don't remember where it was, but it was a mixed group of people. I mean, every nationality was there. And everyone got along so well. Everyone was so polite. White, black, yellow, green, blue, everyone. And I thought to myself, how come there's not a race riot going on around here? Why is everyone so polite? Why is everyone helping each other out? Why is everything was peaceful? There was no antagonism towards one group or another or person because they were the wrong color, the wrong size, or whatever, the wrong nationality. And we create these ourselves, but we don't fix them. We attach a name to it, and then we want someone else, the government, to fix it for us. And that widens the gap even further.
Yes. Oh, they're more than happy to take advantage of that as well. And well, like you said, it's completely 100% fabricated and created by most individuals themselves. So I will say this, on and for the record, in front of everybody around the world, I do not believe that racism exists. I believe that hate exists. I believe that hateful acts exist based on somebody's color because the other person's choosing to do that. I do not believe that racism exists. It's a false paradigm, because anybody who's expressing hate towards somebody else is only doing so because they are insecure about themselves, and they're recognizing a quality that they do not like about themselves, and they don't have the capacity or the willingness to look at themselves so that it manifests in a secondary or ancillary response, which is typically very hateful, very ignorant, and very stupid and very uncalled for. I don't care if you're white, black, red, green. You know, I'm not Michael Jackson here, but you know what I mean? Like, I do not care. It makes no difference to me whatsoever.
Absolutely.
In fact, I enjoy traveling to other places. I grew up in Oak Cliff. In Duncanville, Oak Cliff area. I grew up in the middle of the hood here in Texas, and I have no problems integrating or even socializing to a certain degree with people that have been caught in this black cultural program. That's what I call it, the BCP. And it's this hate. White people are the source of your problems. Yes, that's true, but they don't tell you how, right? And then, be angry and shoot people and killing and murder and death and all this is cool. And the more degrading you can be to women, the other, the actual divine feminine that you're supposed to be respecting in yourself and all these different types of things, they're getting so far away from it. And I'll say this, Joe, if a race has been targeted throughout history, it's been the black culture. And there's a reason for it, and it's an esoteric reason. They're a race of people that I believe have a lot of spiritual power, a lot of musical talent, a lot of creativity, if you will.
Agree.
Yes, and so therefore they've been targeted for centuries. And that's my stance on the whole thing.
Yeah. Well, we are just about out of time for this segment of the program. I'd like to leave the next couple of minutes to you so you can wrap things up, tell people how they may reach you if you'd like, or about your book, or however you want to end the broadcast. I'm going to leave up to you.
Well, thank you, Joe. That to me has been totally relevant to what I'm doing in my life personally. I really can't express enough gratitude and appreciation for you having me on here. I do my own radio show every week out of my own pocket. It's called Piercing the Veil. That's on bbsradio.com. You can access it at /Piercing the Veil. We've got about 17 shows up already since January. We touch on everything from homelessness to mental illness to psychedelics to spirituality to the nature of the universe to contracting and negotiations. We touch on a certain special list called the Do Not Detain list, which the judges' families and all these special political people of power are on, and some remedies where you might be able to get yourself on that if you're honorable. All sorts of different things that we do. We completely shatter the free man patriot myths. Don't go in there waving the benefits and appointing the judge as your damn trustee. You know what I mean? Always, I'm the living man on the land. Don't do it, guys. Call me first. All right. I do consultations for half hour and hour increments. I'm willing to accept barter and trade. I negotiate with people because I know how it is. And you can reach me at 214-290-3053. That's my personal cell phone. I'm willing to take calls on it. I'm willing to help anybody I can. The email address to reach me is gtac, that's GTAC09 at hushmail.com. You can also reach me at piercingtheveil86 at hushmail.com with any comments, questions, concerns. If you guys are being harassed, let me know. If I can take you onto my schedule, I will. And, I do what I can. I've had a near-death experience pretty much every single year of my life, Joe, from being almost hit by lightning to a motorcycle crash to a car crash to a wheel actually coming off somebody's car that's coming the other direction towards me. It comes into my lane nonchalantly, hits a bump, comes up to eye level. Now I've got a 150-pound wheel doing 80 miles an hour at me while I'm doing 70 miles at it. I've got all of these things happening to me every single year of my life, and I'm still here for a reason, and I will not be going anywhere anytime soon. I don't feel like I'm going to have to be harassed or anything like that just because of the karmatic results of what I'm producing. So I love everybody. I really want to see this world change for the better, and I think it starts within. I know a lot of gurus are saying that, but there is a real comprehensive service to self that you can develop that will help you develop the service to others.
Yeah, we have to start looking
I think
within
you've actually-
instead of looking
Yes.
for someone else to bail
Yes.
us out. And by the
Yes.
way, I also like motorcycles. I ride a G650, and one time I flipped the bike and I broke every single bone on the left side of my body, and I have 1 inch less of a shoulder because of it. So
man.
I unfortunately identify with your pains there. Well, thank you so much. You've been an absolutely delightful guest. I hope you will accept our invitation to return at a later date.
Absolutely. I would be happy to.
Okay, thank you. And good luck to you, Jordan, and everything that you do. Appreciate it very much.
Thank you, Joe. I appreciate you.
Folks, this is the end of today's broadcast. We'd like to thank our sponsors for the financial support, and we'd like to thank you for listening in. You can further the cause of liberty by recommending this program to your friends. Let us hear from you. Our email just as comments at libertytalkradio.com. Remember, you're either allowing your liberties to be taken away or you're striving to protect them. Unfortunately, there is no middle ground. Until next time, this is Joe Cristiano. You've been listening to Liberty Talk Radio. Stay well, stay tuned.